Hey, it's time for the B&A Fitness Show. I'm your host, Michael McGregor. Guess what? We're going to do another recipe today. Today is going to be a vegetarian recipe as opposed to a vegan one. Originally it was going to be a vegan recipe I was going to do today, but you know what? This recipe calls for Greek yogurt, or actually it calls for yogurt. I'm actually going to add Greek yogurt to it because I think it's much better of a choice of the yogurt to use. So this is a northern Indian dish. It's made with red kidney beans, yogurt, a little bit of hang, which is the asafoetida, the turmeric, coriander, the cumin seeds, also a little bit of tomato and some cilantro. So this is going to kind of be like a little bit of a red kidney bean gravy type of dish. Now, one thing I'm going to add to this dish that's going to be a little bit different that the recipe doesn't really call for, that's going to be sliced raw almonds and a little bit of, that's my cat attacking the tripod here, given that it's not an earthquake, so don't worry about it. It's my little cat Cookie. She's basically telling the tripod that she owns it. So what we're going to do is we're going to add hemp seeds and raw almonds to the red kidney beans in order to make that complete protein. Now, many of you know that I'm not a vegan, I'm not a vegetarian, but I do like the meal choices, and I know several vegans and vegetarians that do work out, and they're always asking, hey, what's a good way of coming up with a good complete protein to add to my menus, to add to my meal plans, and this is going to be one of them. So watch right here as I put together our next little recipe, and as always, bon appetit. Okay, what I've done here is I've already pre-cooked my kidney beans according to the recipe and how to cook the kidney beans. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drain the kidney beans here, but I'm going to keep the boiled water that they were cooked in because the recipe is going to call for it a little bit later on. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since I've already drained my kidney beans, what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up the pan here. I'm going to kind of put it on a 7 on my little thing. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're actually going to add the oil. The recipe calls for a tablespoon and a half of vegetable oil. I am not a fan of vegetable oil one bit. Neither am I a fan of corn oil, but I do truly like olive oil. Now, unfortunately, I would not recommend the Great Value Walmart olive oil. It's probably about one of the lowest grades of olive oil around. But unfortunately, you know what, with the economy, we got to make do with what we can handle right now. Normally, my olive oil is a much higher quality in a dark glass jar, so it's a thick, very aromatic olive oil, which indicates its true freshness and all that wonderful good stuff. So I'm going to kind of slosh that around a little bit, let it heat up. I'm going to turn this down just a touch while I get my hing ready. The recipe calls for half a teaspoon of hing, which is the asafoetida, which is an Indian spice that you can get at your local Indian Pakistani store. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of this. I do not mind putting in a little too much. I'm one of those people that, hey, if it's a little bit more spicy than it should be, then it's the way you should do it. Once it stops cooking, because you're going to fry it up, you're going to kind of boil it up a little bit. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, only takes about 30 seconds for that. Now I'm going to add my tomatoes. And I'm just going to drop my tomatoes in. Now, it doesn't say what type of tomatoes to use. I use Roma. I actually kind of prefer their consistency a little bit more. So there we go with that. Mix this up a little bit. And as always, I'll have the recipe linked to the blog site, and in the notes, you'll be able to link to the recipe. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook the tomatoes for 5 to 6 minutes, and then we're actually going to mash them with the back of a spoon. And what we're going to do is then after that, we'll stir in the yogurt to a nice little creamy consistency, and we'll add that to the tomatoes. Now, for yogurt, we only need 1/4 of a cup. So what I did is I took a little bit of I picked up Lucerne's Greek yogurt at Safeway. It was what was available. So the one thing I don't like about this is the zero fat. As many of you know, I am a big fan of fats. I think it's really important to have fat in your diet, especially the essential fatty acids. And that's one reason why after this is done cooking, I will actually add, and here I am in the way, I'll actually add probably about 1 to 2 tablespoons of Udo's oil, which is his 369 blend, which is exceptional to add to any type of meal plan. Especially if you're a vegan, you need to get those fats in your diet because you're not along with those complete proteins. There we go. My little 1/4 cup. Take a quick little thing. Drop in that yogurt. Mix it into. Yep, making noise. That's what I like to do. Turn the heat down just a little bit. Don't want it to cook too fast now. This only takes about a minute to cook up. Stir it in real nice. And yes, I forgot to smash my tomatoes, so I'm going to do that kind of right now. You could use a little bit of a stronger spoon. No. There we go. Smash that down. The 1 teaspoon of cumin. Now I have whole cumin, so I would actually get powdered cumin for this instead of the whole cumin seed, but that's just me. So I'm going to use it with the cumin seed because I'm all out of powdered cumin. And the turmeric. And for turmeric, it's half a teaspoon. Personally, turmeric is really, really healthy. It's got the curcumin in it, and it's got so many good benefits for just hormonal balance. I'm not afraid to use a lot of turmeric. You got to eat a lot of it to get that levels of the curcumin out of it. And then a little bit of the coriander. Coriander is going to be 2 teaspoons. That, and this is very typical. These are very, very common spices in any type of Indian meal. Is the hang, coriander, cumin, and turmeric. Also, a little bit of salt to taste. Now, I used iodized sea salt, and I'm not a big proponent on using a lot of it, so I'm just going to do a little bit in my hand, just to add a little taste. I'm not big on salt. Now I used 2 cups of the kidney beans, so there's going to be a lot of beans in here. I probably should have used a lot more tomatoes, but we'll see. And as I said before, after this, to make sure that it's a complete protein, I'm actually going to add the raw almonds, maybe even pumpkin seeds, because going through my stuff, I noticed I'm out of almonds. So I'm actually going to add pumpkin seeds, create that complete protein along with the essential fatty acids that comes from Udo's oil to make sure it's extra nutritious than it already is. That's a lot of beans right there. That's 2 whole cups of beans, and that was 2 cups uncooked, which probably makes a lot more than 2 cups cooked. So I'm gonna mix this real well. I should have used my larger pan, but that's okay. Don't bother me. Now, obviously, this is enough to make beans for the week. You can add it to different meals, in which I will, and this is both for me and my wife. She just absolutely loves these vegetarian meals. She finds them absolutely fantastic. So this is real stirred in right now. We'll cook it for another 4 to 5 minutes. Out of the remaining liquid, what I did is I added just a cup for now until we find out just how much of that gravy look we're going to get out of this. So, and I'm almost to the point where I'm going to add a little extra yogurt just to thicken it up a little bit more. So for your recipe, you may want to just use the 2 cups of cooked beans instead of the 2 cups of uncooked beans that I use, which yields, who knows, a lot of beans because they swell, all that good stuff. So while that's cooking, I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit on it. And I'm going to add another cup of the liquid from the beans. And I think that's about all I'm going to do with the 2 cups. The 2 cups of the bean liquid that I boiled in, and a little bit more yogurt that was left off on this spoon. So a fairly easy meal to cook, because basically all it is going to be red kidney beans. It's going to be your seasonings along with tomatoes and a little bit of cilantro. And as I said, I like to add things such as pumpkin seeds, raw almonds, sunflower seeds to get that complete protein, and also the Greek yogurt. I'm a big fan of cilantro, so I'm going to actually put in about 2 handfuls of it. And the recipe only calls for about 1/4 of a cup of cilantro. I'm actually a big fan of it, so I'm going to put in a little bit more, a little bit to my liking. So don't be afraid to experiment with the recipe a little bit. That way, that way you can kind of personalize it, make it more to your satisfying taste, because I always found that most recipes, even though they may be good, they always have a tendency not to be as good as they can be. Added just a touch more cilantro, just to really add to it. Now this has been cooking for about 3.5 minutes, so I'm going to cook it a little bit longer. I'm going to pull it off and put it in my storage Tupperwares for later consumption, which we all love. So get that. Now it's starting to get that turmeric smell. Permeates the house. It's a very good smell. And the final touch is I will add one more bit of seasoning. It's Gram Masala. This is another Indian spice. It's actually a combination of spices to make one gigantic, really interesting spice that has a very unique smell. And 1 teaspoon of Gram Masala. So sprinkle it. So we're going to sprinkle it on top, as it says. So there we go, Gram Masala. And Gram Masala is actually a combination of coriander, cumin, ginger, red chili, cloves, cinnamon, and bay leaves. So pick that up also at the local Indian grocery or Pakistani grocery store. I'll go to an Indian one. So that's your vegetarian meal. What I'm going to do, like I said, is I'm going to add raw almonds, pumpkin seeds, or sunflower seeds to actually create that complete protein. Also with this, I'm actually going to add 2 tablespoons, so that's 2 tablespoons of hemp seed in order to get a little bit of that extra protein boost out of it. And then I'll be adding 2 tablespoons of Udo's oil. So there's your meal for the week. Hopefully you enjoyed the recipe. Try it out this week at home. Feed it to your family. Trust me, you'll be happy with it. Once again, thank you for watching B&A Fitness. I'm your host, Michael McGregor, and see you next time.